This is the Buffett Mindset channel where we practice patience and calm wealth building daily. If you enjoy these types of videos, consider liking and subscribing. This will mean a lot to the channel. You're failing because you skip. One skipped day becomes a skipped year, and one skipped year becomes a wasted life. That's the truth no one wants to face. You say you want success. You say you want freedom. You speak of wealth, of peace, of power. But if I sat down with your calendar, if I watched your mornings and your nights, what would I find? Gaps, hesitation, abandonment, drift. You dream of fortune, but fortune does not answer to dreamers. Fortune answers to repeaters, men who return to the same post, the same thought, the same discipline, every single day. If you had simply repeated the right action, the right aim, the right thought, day after day, without excuse, you'd already be free. But you didn't. You skipped. You gave yourself permission to rest before you earned the right to rest. You delayed when you should have obeyed, and now you ask why nothing has changed. This is not a gentle talk. This is a warning. Because if you skip again, you will skip your future too. The law of wealth does not bend to talent. It does not bow to cleverness. It does not move for inspiration. It moves for consistency. It moves not when you try, but when you repeat. You want life to obey you? Then return to your post. Return to your plan. Return to your discipline. All power belongs to the man who refuses to miss. Not once, not twice, not when tired, not when unseen. Daily, relentless, unshakable. That the man the law rewards. Most men sprint. They burst with fire for a week, a month, a season. Then the flame dies and they skip. They skip once, and the once becomes twice. The twice becomes a habit, and the habit becomes a grave. But the man who keeps returning, who refuses to skip even when the feeling is gone, even when the room is empty, even when no applause is given, that man bends life to his will. Do you want results? Then stop asking for motivation. Stop waiting to feel ready. Feelings are fickle, but law is steady. Obedience, not emotion, is the path. You are not tired, you are undisciplined. You are not stuck, you are inconsistent. You are not lost, you have simply stopped showing up for the plan you wrote back when you still believed in yourself. Some men try, other men train. Some men start, other men never stop. And there are only two kinds of men in this world, the one who skips when life gets hard, and the one who becomes harder than life itself. This speech, this firelight, this moment is for the second kind, or for the one willing to become him. You want results, you want peace, you want power. Then build the man who does not miss, not once, not ever. That man begins here. Let me tell you a truth you've avoided. The results you want are already hidden on your calendar. They are waiting inside the repetition you were supposed to begin 6 months ago, a year ago, 5 years ago. The path was clear, the work was simple, but you skipped. You skipped the day, you skipped the discipline, you skipped the declaration. And with every missed moment, you distanced yourself from the man you were called to become. Success is not mysterious, it is not hidden, it is not magic. It is simply the compound interest of consistency. Like wealth itself, it grows not by bursts, but by steady deposits. A dollar saved daily builds fortune. A habit obeyed daily builds destiny. But most men can't hold the pattern long enough to see the fruit. They plant a seed and dig it up the next day to see if it's growing. They speak their aim, then cancel it with fear. They act for a week, then wait for motivation to return, and so their harvest never comes. For law does not move by feeling. Law moves by obedience. And the man who obeys daily, without excuse, without skipping, builds a power the world must acknowledge. I don't care how brilliant your plan is. If you abandon it, it's worthless. I don't care how bold your dream is. If you skip, it dies. But if you return, day after day, with iron will, even when the fire fades, you will win. Consistency, friend, is the slow hammer that builds empires. Not brilliance, not talent, not luck, but the daily strike, steady and true. A man who swings once with great force and then quits will never split the stone. But the man who swings daily, even with modest strength, will break mountains. Think on this. King Solomon, the wisest who ever lived, wrote, "He who gathers little by little makes it grow." He was speaking of money, yes, but also of discipline, of character, of legacy. The man who saves daily becomes wealthy. The man who reads daily becomes wise. The man who labors daily becomes master. It is not the size of the act, but the repetition that crowns him. But most men despise small steps. They want the leap, the miracle, the explosion. They grow restless with the slow and steady, so they skip. They think skipping one day is harmless, but one day breaks the chain. One day destroys the rhythm, and what could have compounded into fortune dies in the soil. Buffett himself built his empire not on flashes, but on steady deposits, steady decisions, steady patience. He did not chase every new scheme. He obeyed his discipline daily, for decades. And now the world calls him Oracle, but in truth, he is simply a servant of consistency. Here, Cowboy Truth, the rancher who feeds his cattle daily, rain or shine, builds a herd that survives the winter. The one who skips, who feeds when he feels like it, loses his herd when the frost comes. The difference isn't love of cattle or clever breeding, it's consistency. The quiet, steady, unskippable rhythm. Consistency is rhythm, and rhythm is power. The drummer who never misses a beat drives the whole band. The heartbeat that never skips keeps the body alive. The river that flows daily carves the canyon, not the flood that comes once and disappears. That the law, steady beats storms. Rhythm outlasts chaos. But here the test, consistency must hold, even when unseen, when no one claps, when no one thanks you, when the fire is low and the night is long. That is when most men skip. They crave an audience, and when the audience vanishes, so does their effort. But the man who is consistent in secret, who returns to his post unseen, becomes unstoppable. For the law itself sees him, and the law rewards him. And remember this, discipline is nothing without consistency. Persistence is nothing without consistency. Imagination, focus, even patience, they all collapse without the daily return. Consistency is the spine that holds all the other laws upright. Without it, you drift. With it, you rise. Look at the farmer. He plows, he plants, he waters daily. He cannot afford to skip, for the field will not wait. Skip one day, the weeds creep in. Skip two, the soil hardens. Skip a season, the harvest is gone. Life is the same. The harvest you want, wealth, wisdom, freedom, is already in your field. But you must show up daily, without excuse, without skipping. Now let me strike harder. The universe itself rewards the consistent. The seasons move in rhythm. The sun rises daily. The tides obey their pattern. The laws of creation are consistent. Do you think you, a man, will break those laws and still prosper? No. Align with them. Obey the rhythm. Refuse to skip. And the same law that guides the stars will guide your fortune. But most men, they start. They plant a row, then stop. They dream big, then vanish. They burn hot, then cool. They fill journals, then abandon them. They declare loudly, then retreat quietly. And they wonder why nothing changes. It is because the law mocks the inconsistent. The law ignores the half-hearted. The law bends only for the one who obeys daily, steady, unbroken. So hear me again. Stop skipping. Not once, not ever. Show up when tired. Show up when lonely. Show up when broke. Show up when afraid. Show up when the fire is gone. For it is in those days, the days when you want to skip, that your power is forged. The oak tree roots deepest in storms, not in calm. The rider proves his grit on long trails, not easy ones. Your consistency, tested in hardship, becomes your crown. And here the beauty, consistency compounds. Each day builds on the last. Each act strengthens the habit. Each repetition multiplies the force. At first it feels small, unseen, but in time the results rise like mountains. What seemed impossible becomes inevitable. Consistency is compound interest in flesh. Skip, and you break the chain. Return, and the law bends to you. So choose, right here by this fire, with rain steady on the earth. Will you keep skipping, drifting, breaking your own future? Or will you force yourself to be consistent, not tomorrow, not when the feeling returns, now, daily, always? Because I promise you this, the man who never skips cannot be stopped. The world itself will bow to his rhythm. His barns will fill, his fields will ripen, his wealth will overflow, and his silence will roar with results no words can match. Consistency, friend, is the one law that levels the field. Talent can give a man a head start. Luck can hand him a windfall. Intelligence can show him shortcuts. But without consistency, all of it crumbles. The gifted quit when it gets hard. The lucky waste what was given. The clever stumble when their schemes fail. But the consistent man keeps walking, keeps building, keeps showing up until the ground itself yields. I've seen it plain. The rancher with no special bloodline, no fortune handed down, no brilliance in his speech, yet he rose above wealthier men simply because he never missed a day. While others slept, he worked. While others talked, he built. While others skipped, he returned. His barns filled, his herds grew, his land stretched wide, not because of talent, but because of consistency. King Solomon wrote, "Diligence leads to wealth, but laziness ends in forced labor." Diligence means steady, daily labor, not bursts, not sprints, not noise, just rhythm, just consistency. The man who is diligent may not shine at first, but in time he rises above all, for the law itself bends to diligence. Now let's speak of luck. Fortune smiles on fools sometimes. A gambler may win a hand, a speculator may strike quick profit, a dreamer may stumble into opportunity. But luck without consistency is sand through the fingers. Wealth is not what you touch once. Wealth is what you hold daily, guard daily, build daily, and only consistency can do that. As for intelligence, it is a fine servant, but a poor master. The clever man may outthink others, may twist words, may spot opportunities, but cleverness without consistency is like a sharp rifle never fired. It looks good on the wall, but it wins no battles. The consistent man, even if less gifted, less clever, less lucky, will outlast him. For the consistent man fires every day, rains or shine, until the prize is his. Buffett himself has said, you don't have to be smarter than the next guy. You have to be more disciplined than the next guy. That the essence of consistency, discipline daily over decades, compounds into wealth no brilliance can rival. Let me give you a cowboy truth. Out on the frontier, there are fast riders, clever talkers, and strong hands. But the one who truly conquers the land is the rider who endures. The one who saddles up every morning, rain or shine, storm or calm. The one who patches his boots, mends his fences, tends his herd without fail. The flashy riders fade. The consistent rider endures. And when the years pass, the land is his. Consistency is slow, but it is sure. Talent may dazzle, but talent tires. Luck may surprise, but luck vanishes. Intelligence may solve, but intelligence wavers. Consistency simply endures, and in the end, endurance beats all. But let me warn you, the danger is in underestimating it, because consistency does not shout, it does not sparkle. It is quiet, steady, almost invisible, and so men despise it. They look for miracles, for inspiration, for shortcuts. They ignore the daily rhythm that would save them, and because they skip, they stay broke, stay weak, stay small. But the wise man, the consistent man, understands that every small act compounds. Every day returns interest. Every repetition builds force, and in time, what seemed ordinary becomes extraordinary. Think of the river. No flood carved the Grand Canyon. No storm split the stone. Just water, steady, daily, without skipping, year after year, century after century. That is consistency. And if water can carve canyons, what do you think your steady labor can carve in a lifetime? So do not envy the talented. Do not wait for luck. Do not idolize the clever. Instead, envy the consistent, for he will outlast them all. His barns will be full when theirs are empty. His name will endure when theirs are forgotten. His legacy will stand when theirs crumble. Consistency is the great equalizer. It is the rope that pulls the poor man up to wealth. It is the hammer that beats luck into irrelevance. It is the shield that protects the simple against the clever. It is the law that rewards the one who refuses to skip. So I tell you again, force yourself to be consistent. Refuse to miss. Refuse to break the chain. Refuse to let one skipped day become a skipped life. For the law does not honor the gifted, the lucky, or the clever. It honors the consistent. And if you will be that man, the world itself cannot deny you. Consistency ain't just about results, friend. It's about who you become. Every act repeated daily shapes your bones, your spirit, your very identity. What you do once is just an event. What you do daily is who you are. That's the secret most men never catch. They think consistency is just a tool for building wealth, stacking dollars, chasing success. But it's deeper than that. Consistency writes your character. Consistency forges your soul. The man who shows up daily, even when unseen, even when tired, even when mocked, that man becomes steel. He does not just build barns and herds and fortunes, he builds himself. And a man built of consistency cannot be broken. But the man who skips, the man who drifts, the man who abandons his own plan, that man writes weakness into his bones. Every missed day tells his soul, you cannot be trusted. Every skipped step teaches his spirit, you are not worthy of your own word. And soon he is not merely inconsistent in action, he becomes inconsistency itself. He becomes drift. He becomes failure in flesh. You see, life does not ask what you say. Life listens to what you repeat. Speak of greatness all you want, but if you repeat weakness, you will live weak. Speak of wealth all you want, but if you repeat laziness, you will live poor. Speak of freedom all you want, but if you repeat change, you will live bound. King Solomon wrote, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. But I tell you this, as a man repeats in his days, so he becomes. Thought is the seed, yes, but repetition is the root, and roots steady and daily shape the tree. Now let me tell you a cowboy truth. A horse don't trust a rider who mounts him only on sunny days. A horse trusts the rider who shows up daily, who saddles steady, who guides firm rain or shine. In time, that horse knows his master, and in time, the man who is consistent comes to master himself the same way. His mind obeys him, his body obeys him, his spirit obeys him, for he has proven day after day that he will not quit. That's why consistency is identity. You don't need to tell folks who you are. Your rhythm tells them. Your habits shout louder than your tongue. The man who rises daily before dawn doesn't need to say he disciplined. His life shows it. The man who tends his craft without fail doesn't need to say he devoted. His work reveals it. The man who refuses to skip doesn't need to boast of his strength. His results roar louder than any boast. And here the truth that cuts inconsistency is also identity. Skip often enough and you no longer need to tell folks you're weak. They'll see it, they'll smell it, they'll know it. Your word will carry no weight because you've proven not once but daily that you cannot keep it. This is why consistency is not optional. It is not merely a strategy. It is the very forge in which you are made. Every day you show up, you add steel to your frame. Every day you skip, you rust, and rusted men do not rise. Now let me show you how this ties to wealth. Money obeys identity. Opportunities flow towards strength. People trust the consistent man, for he has proven reliability. Investors follow him, workers serve him, doors open to him. Why? Because he is not just a man with a plan. He is consistency itself, walking in flesh. And the world knows it can lean on him without fear of collapse. But the inconsistent, no one trusts him, not even his own heart. His word is air, his plans are paper, his days are drift, and so wealth avoids him. Power flees him, respect denies him. Not because he is cursed, but because he is inconsistent. That is why I say again, force yourself to be consistent. Not just for the barns, not just for the herds, not just for the fortune. Force it because it is who you must become. Because without it, you are nothing but driftwood on the river, carried wherever the current pleases. But with it, you are the river itself, carving canyons, unstoppable, undeniable. And here the beauty of it, once consistency becomes identity, it ceases to be effort. At first you force yourself. At first you drag yourself to the post, weary and reluctant. But in time it becomes who you are. You no longer ask, should I show up today? You simply show up, because it is your nature. The oak tree does not ask whether to grow. The river does not ask whether to flow. The consistent man does not ask whether to work. He just does because he is. That is freedom. That is power. To be so consistent that your very identity moves without hesitation. To be so steady that wealth, respect, and legacy follow you not by chance, but by law. So decide tonight, here by the fire, who will you be? Driftwood or river, rust or steel, noise or rhythm? For the answer will not be found in your words, it will be written in your consistency. And when the years roll on, when the fire dies low, when your trail nears its end, you will look back and know you became exactly what you repeated. And if you repeated strength, if you repeated obedience, if you repeated consistency, you will die a giant. Consistency don't just build barns and fill pockets, friend. It builds legacies. It writes your story long after you're gone. Every day you repeat the right action. Every dawn you return to your post. Every night you close the day faithful to the work. You're not just shaping your fortune. You're carving a trail for others to ride. The truth is simple but hard. Your children will not remember what you said nearly as much as what you did. They will not inherit your speeches. They will inherit your rhythm. If you were consistent, they will carry that consistency into their bones. If you were inconsistent, they will carry that drift. Legacy is not words carved in stone. Legacy is habits carved in blood. King Solomon left wisdom for his sons, and in his Proverbs he made it plain. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. That training is not lecture, but rhythm. A boy who sees his father rise steady, labor daily, keep word faithfully, learns consistency deeper than any classroom could teach. A daughter who sees her mother keep the home with diligence, guard the accounts with care, tend to tasks without skipping, carries that rhythm into her own life. The legacy of consistency is stronger than any inheritance of gold. Think on this, fortunes built without consistency vanish in one generation. How many rich men's sons squandered their inheritance because they never learned the rhythm that built it? But a family rooted in consistency, daily prayer, daily labor, daily discipline, that family compounds across generations. Wealth grows, wisdom multiplies, character deepens, not because of talent or luck, but because the law of consistency is obeyed. Now let me give you a cowboy truth. Out on the range, one man can tend cattle, but a family can tend a herd across decades. A ranch survives not because of one season of work, but because of steady generations repeating the same rhythm. Wake, ride, feed, mend, rest daily unbroken. And when the years stretch long, that ranch outlasts drought, outlasts storms, outlasts enemies. Consistency handed down becomes legacy that cannot die. And here the sharp edge of it. Inconsistency is also legacy. Skip enough, drift enough, abandon enough, and your children will learn that rhythm too. They will inherit not your speeches, but your skips. They will repeat your drift. And poverty, weakness, and failure will compound just as surely as wealth, discipline, and strength. Legacy cannot be faked. It is forged daily. Buffett's fortune will not vanish when he's gone because it was built on consistency. He has repeated discipline so long that the very structure of his empire is rhythm itself. That rhythm will outlive him, and so it is with every true builder. The barns may crumble, the names may fade, but the rhythm endures, carried by those who witnessed it, multiplied by those who lived under its shade. So I tell you this, your daily choices are not private. They echo, they ripple through time. They shape the ones watching you, the ones following you, the ones who will come after you. Consistency is not about you alone. It is about every soul who will walk in the path you carved. Think of the river again. A river flows daily, never missing, and in time it carves canyons that stand for ages. Long after the raindrops that fed it are gone, the canyon remains. That canyon is legacy. Your consistency, daily and unseen, will carve canyons your grandchildren will walk in awe. But the river that dries up, that skips its flow, carves nothing. It leaves behind only dust and dry stones. That is the legacy of inconsistency. So here by the fire, with rain steady on the roof, I ask you plain, what canyon will you carve? What trail will you leave? Will your children inherit drift or discipline? Will they remember a man who skipped or a man who never missed? For consistency is not just about money, it is about memory, it is about honor. It is about leaving behind a name that commands respect, not because of words, but because of rhythm. A man who was faithful daily, a man who could be trusted not once, but always, a man whose life itself was steady as the sunrise. That, friend, is legacy, and it belongs not to the clever, not to the lucky, not to the gifted. It belongs to the consistent. So force yourself to be consistent, not just for today, not just for your own freedom, but for the freedom of those yet unborn, for the wealth of your children, for the honor of your name in ages to come. And when your fire burns its last, when your hands grow still, when your trail reaches its end, you'll know you did not skip. You'll know you left behind more than barns and herds. You'll know you left behind rhythm, law, and strength carved into the bones of your bloodline. And long after your voice is gone, your consistency will still be speaking, in the way your descendants rise early, in the way they build steady, in the way they never miss. That, my friend, is the secret wisdom of Solomon, the law Buffett obeyed, the code every builder lives by. Do not skip. For the man who never skips leaves a legacy the world cannot erase. Every fortune, every empire, every legacy is built on sacrifice. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. You can't hold on to everything and rise. You can't serve two masters and prosper. You can't cling to ease, cling to comfort, cling to distraction, and expect wealth, wisdom, or freedom to obey you. The truth most men run from is this: the life you want will cost you the life you have. The wealth you seek will demand the comfort you love. The freedom you hunger for will require chains of discipline. There is no harvest without sacrifice. Consistency itself is sacrifice. To return daily, you must lay down the urge to drift. To obey rhythm, you must kill the itch of laziness. To persist, you must bury excuses in the dust. Every day you choose to be consistent, you are sacrificing something: sleep, ease, indulgence, noise. That is why most men skip. It's not that they can't see the reward, it's that they can't bear the sacrifice. King Solomon said there is a time to plant and a time to pluck up. Planting is sacrifice. You bury seed in the ground, surrender it, release it, knowing you won't see it again for a season. That faith, yes, but it also loss. You lose today so you can gain tomorrow. That is sacrifice. And here the secret sacrifice multiplies. Whatever you give up for the sake of discipline returns tenfold in the harvest. The man who sacrifices an hour of sleep to build his craft inherits decades of mastery. The man who sacrifices indulgence in youth inherits wealth in age. The man who sacrifices the applause of today inherits the respect of history.
But the man who refuses to sacrifice pays a heavier price. He sacrifices his future for his present. He sacrifices wealth for comfort. He sacrifices legacy for laziness. And when his days are done, he looks back and realizes he gave up everything and gained nothing. Think of Buffett. He sacrificed luxury in his early days, no show, no noise, no chasing, and he let his wealth compound quietly for decades. Now the world calls him the Sage of Omaha. Think of the cowboys of old. They sacrificed ease, slept in the dirt, rode through storms, faced hunger, and in time they carved ranches out of wilderness. No sacrifice, no cattle. No sacrifice, no land. Sacrifice is not punishment. Sacrifice is investment. The difference is whether you choose it or it chooses you. The wise man sacrifices today so he can own tomorrow. The foolish man refuses sacrifice today, and tomorrow sacrifices him. Now hear a cowboy truth. The rider who won't give up comfort in the saddle will never cross the desert. The one who won't sacrifice water rations won't make it to the next well. The one who won't burn daylight won't reach camp before nightfall. Sacrifice is the price of survival, and the same law rules wealth. But here the part few understand. Sacrifice is not one big moment, it daily, it quiet, it unseen. It the little denials stacked high until they shape a mountain. Skip a drink to save $1. Skip an hour of idleness to build a skill. Skip applause to keep discipline. Those small sacrifices compounded daily write a destiny no single leap could achieve. Sacrifice and consistency are brothers. Consistency keeps you steady, sacrifice clears the path. Consistency is rhythm. Sacrifice is cost. Together, they make you unstoppable. So you must decide, what will you lay down? Will you sacrifice comfort so you can grow? Will you sacrifice distraction so you can focus? Will you sacrifice excuses so you can build? For if you refuse to choose, life will choose for you. It will strip from you what you would not surrender willingly. The law is clear. Give up what is small to gain what is great. Lay down what is temporary to build what is eternal. Bury the seed so you can reap the harvest. And when the years roll on, when the fire burns low, you'll see that every sacrifice was not lost, but gain. The sleep you lost gave you wisdom. The ease you surrendered gave you strength. The applause you denied gave you respect. The comfort you killed gave you freedom. Legacy is not built by men who took everything. Legacy is built by men who gave everything. So partner, ask yourself now, what will you sacrifice? The law demands it. The fire whispers it. The rain beats it steady. Give up what weakens you, and you will gain what cannot be taken. For wealth, for wisdom, for freedom, for legacy, the price is sacrifice. Pay it daily, and you will never run empty. Refuse it, and you'll pay anyway, with your life wasted and your name forgotten. Distraction, friend, is the bandit waiting at every bend in the trail. It don't ride in loud like failure. It don't strike hard like loss. It sneaks in quiet, steals your time, scatters your focus, drains your fire, and leaves you wondering why the years slip by with nothing to show. Failure is honest. When you fail, you know it. You see the wreck, you feel the blow, you taste the dust. But distraction is sly. It feels harmless. It feels small. It feels like a short pause, a little detour, a harmless indulgence. Yet piece by piece, day by day, distraction bleeds you dry. King Solomon warned of this when he said, "A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will come on you like a thief." That distraction, little by little, not the big storm, but the steady leak, not the flood, but the drip that hollows the stone. Most men don't lose because they're too weak. They lose because they're too scattered. They don't quit outright. They just give their attention to 1,000 little things, and so nothing grows. Their time is spent, but not invested. Their energy is used, but not focused. Their days are full, but their barns are empty. Distraction is everywhere now. The noise of others, the lure of comfort, the endless chase for attention. And the man who does not master distraction will never master himself. For distraction is not about what you look at, it is about what you turn away from. Every moment given to distraction is a moment stolen from your purpose. Buffett himself has said, the difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything. That how you beat distraction, not by fighting every little thing, but by refusing it altogether, by saying no, by narrowing your aim, by guarding your time like treasure. Hear a cowboy truth out on the range. A rider who keeps turning his head every which way never reaches camp. He spooks his horse, wanders in circles, burns daylight. But the rider who fixes his eyes on the canyon ahead, steady and sure, makes it through. Focus wins the land. Distraction leaves you lost. And hear the harsh truth, distraction often wears the face of opportunity. It looks like a good deal, a new venture, a fresh path. But not every open gate is your trail. Many a man has lost his fortune chasing every rabbit. They scatter their strength, and the law punishes them. The world belongs not to the man who does many things once, but to the man who does one thing daily, without fail. Distraction is also emotional. Doubt, fear, envy, these too are distractions. They pull your eyes from your work, your mind from your aim. The man who watches his neighbor herd cannot tend his own. The man who fears tomorrow cannot build today. The man who nurses envy wastes energy that could be wealth. So hear the law: starve distraction, feed focus. Guard your eyes, guard your ears, guard your heart. Not everything deserves your attention. In fact, almost nothing does. Choose your aim and give it all. Turn from the noise and return to your work. Refuse the scatter and demand the narrow. Do this daily, and distraction loses its hold. For distraction is weak against a consistent man, a man who returns to his post without fail, who obeys his rhythm without excuse, who builds quietly without chasing noise. That man cannot be robbed. Distraction has no doorway into a steady life, but skip and distraction enters. Skip once and distraction whispers, "It finds just this time." Skip twice and distraction says, "There's always tomorrow." Skip thrice and distraction owns you. You become drift, pulled by every current, carried by every wind. And when the years pass, you'll realize the truth. You weren't beaten by failure, you were robbed by distraction. So I tell you plain, beware distraction more than failure. Failure teaches, failure strengthens, failure refines. But distraction weakens silently, kills slowly, leaves you blind to your loss until it's too late. Build fences around your focus, close gates to the noise, say no to the good so you can guard the great. For the world belongs to the man who refuses distraction, who narrows his eye, who builds daily, steady, unbroken. And when your barns are full, when your herds are fat, when your wealth is undeniable, you'll look back and know it wasn't talent, it wasn't luck, it wasn't brilliance. It was simply this: you refused distraction, you refused to skip, and you returned daily to the trail that was yours. That, partner, is the law. The law Solomon knew, the law Buffett obeys, the law every great builder lives by. Beware distraction. Guard your focus and return daily to your post. Rest ain't the enemy, friend. Rest is sacred. Even God himself rested on the seventh day, but he didn't rest on the first. He rested after the work was done. That the law most men break. They rest before they build. They rest before the field is plowed, before the barn is raised, before the cattle are driven in. And so their rest is not peace, but poverty. You see, rest is only sweet when it follows labor. Rest is only safe when the fences are strong, when the herd is fed, when the firewood is stacked. Rest taken too early is nothing but distraction dressed as comfort. That kind of rest is poison. King Solomon warned, a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands, and poverty comes like a thief in the night. He wasn't condemning sleep, he was condemning sleep before work. He was condemning the man who lays down before he earned the right. Buffett himself lives by this law. He does not spend before he invests. He does not indulge before the deal is sealed. He builds the foundation first, then lets compounding do the resting for him. Wealth itself is simply work stored up, rest purchased and advanced by discipline. Here a cowboy truth out on the trail: you don't rest before the herd is fenced. You don't lay down before the fire is lit. You don't sleep before the horses are tied. If you do, you may not wake to find your herd, your fire, or your horse. Work first, then rest. Build first, then sleep. That is survival, and it is also wealth. Most men reverse it. They rest first. They celebrate too soon. They comfort themselves before the work is finished. And because of that, their barns are always half empty, their plans always half built, their lives always half lived. They wonder why they never see results. It's because they spent their energy resting before there was something to rest upon. Hear the sharper truth: early rest kills consistency. Skip one day, tell yourself you've earned it, and soon the habit is gone. Soon one day becomes two, two becomes a week becomes drift, and drift is death to destiny. The wise man knows how to rest, but he rests after. He pushes until the task is finished, then lays down in peace. His rest is earned, his rest is guarded, his rest is free of guilt, and when he rises stronger, because his rest was built on work, not on excuses. So hear the law: do not lay down until the work is done. Do not celebrate until the foundation is set. Do not reward yourself before you've obeyed the plan. Let rest be the crown, not the crutch. Think of the farmer. He plows first, then plants, then waters. Only when the harvest is stored does he sit back and feast. If he feasted first, there would be nothing to eat later. Wealth is the same. Freedom is the same. Legacy is the same. Build first, then rest. And remember this, rest is a multiplier when it follows work. It heals, it restores, it sharpens. But rest before work is a thief. It dulls, it weakens, it spoils. The same bed that strengthens a tired worker destroys a lazy man. The difference is the order. So ask yourself, are you resting too soon? Are you laying down before the field is plowed, before the plan is obeyed, before the work is finished? Or are you building first, pushing first, obeying first, then resting as a king, not as a beggar? Build before you rest. That's the law. It the rhythm of creation, the wisdom of Solomon, the discipline of Buffett, the code of every cowboy who survived the frontier. Rest taken after is sweet. Rest taken before is bitter. So rise, return, build. Then, when the work is done, rest without guilt. Sleep in peace, knowing the barn is full, the herd is safe, the fire is strong. That is true rest, and that is the rest only the consistent, the disciplined, the persistent ever know. Momentum, friend, is the hidden force behind every great fortune. Once it built, it carries you farther than effort alone. It multiplies your strength, it speeds your progress, it turns steady steps into unstoppable charge. But here the truth most men forget, momentum is fragile, hard to build, easy to break. And once you break it, starting again costs more than you think. You've seen it in your own life. Miss one day and the second is easier to miss. Miss a week and the habit is gone. The fire cools, the rhythm dies, the trail goes cold. What once felt natural now feels heavy as stone. That is the danger of losing momentum. That is why you must guard it at all costs. King Solomon wrote, "The hand of the diligent will rule." Diligence is nothing more than momentum obeyed. Day after day, small act after small act, until the very weight of your rhythm carries you forward. At first it is hard. At first you push heavy against resistance. But keep at it, and soon the law bends in your favor. Your work begins to pull you instead of you pulling it. Buffett speaks the same when he describes compounding. At first the snowball is small, it takes effort to push, and progress is slow. But roll it long enough, steady enough, and the snowball grows large. Soon it rolls itself. That momentum. Wealth compounds the way habits do, small and invisible at first, unstoppable in time. Hear a cowboy truth, a horse is hardest to get moving from a standstill. You've got to dig in, spur firm, push until he finds his pace. But once he's running, he carries you swift and smooth across the land. Stop him though, and you'll sweat twice as hard to get him moving again. That momentum, and that's why you don't stop once you've started. Momentum is your ally, but it demands loyalty. It does not forgive skipping. Every skip breaks its stride, every hesitation slows its charge, and once you lose it, the climb back is steep. That's why most men never rise. They start, they stop, they start again, they stop again. Their lives are spent restarting but never finishing. They never learn to guard momentum. So here is the law: once you start, do not stop. Not when you're tired, not when you're bored, not when you're unseen. Guard your rhythm like treasure. Protect your momentum like life itself. For every day you continue, the law grows stronger in your favor. Every day you stop, the law turns against you. And here the sharper truth: momentum can carry you toward ruin just as easily as toward fortune. Skip daily, and that skip becomes its own rhythm. Drift daily, and drift becomes your identity. Just as discipline compounds, so does laziness. Just as wealth compounds, so does debt. The law of momentum is neutral. It obeys whichever path you choose. That's why you must decide once and for all to build momentum toward your destiny, not your destruction. Choose the rhythm of discipline, not drift. Choose the pattern of building, not skipping. Choose the steady plow, not the folded hands. Once chosen, hold it. Once moving, don't stop. Think of the river. At its source it is small, weak, barely a stream. But as it flows daily without skipping, it gathers force. Soon it carves valleys, then canyons, then feeds cities, then moves nations. That is momentum. That is what your life can become if you refuse to stop the flow. Most men envy results but ignore rhythm. They see the canyon but not the stream. They see the fortune but not the years of compounding. They see the success, but not the unbroken momentum that carved it. And because they skip, they will never know that power. But you can. If you will guard your momentum, if you will refuse to stop once you've begun, you will harness the law itself. You will find that your work once hard becomes natural, that your burden once heavy becomes light, that your dream once distant becomes inevitable. So hear me plain, start now and do not stop. Build the snowball, guard the stride, protect the rhythm. For momentum is wealth in motion, character in motion, destiny in motion. Lose it and you lose everything. Keep it and nothing can stop you. And when your trail is long behind you, when your fire burns its last, you'll see that it wasn't luck, it wasn't talent, it wasn't brilliance that built your legacy. It was momentum. Steady, daily, unbroken. A law you obeyed until the very weight of your life carried you farther than you ever dreamed. That, partner, is the law of momentum. Build it, guard it, ride it, and never ever let it die. Endurance, friend, is the crown of all the laws. Consistency starts you. Sacrifice clears your path. Focus narrows your aim. Momentum carries you forward. But endurance keeps you standing when every storm says quit. Endurance is the reason some men finish while others fade. Most men can run a mile, few can run a marathon. Most men can work for a season, few can work for a lifetime. Most men can hold faith for a week, few can hold faith for decades. And yet history does not remember the sprinters, it remembers the endurers. King Solomon wrote, "The race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, but time and chance happen to them all." What he meant is this: the fastest runner may stumble, the strongest warrior may fall. But the one who endures, who keeps rising after every stumble, who keeps fighting after every blow, that one finishes. That one inherits the crown. Buffett has preached this in his own quiet way. His fortune is not the product of brilliance alone. It is the product of decades of endurance. He stayed in the game longer than others. While clever men chased bubbles and broke, he endured. While bold men gambled and lost, he endured. While impatient men sold too soon, he endured. And endurance made him one of the richest men alive. Hear a cowboy truth: any man can ride when the sun is high and the trail is smooth. But only the true rider endures when the rain cuts sideways, when the herd scatters in the night, when hunger gnaws and sleep tempts. The herd does not belong to the fastest rider, nor to the strongest rider. It belongs to the rider who endures. Endurance is not glamour. It does not shine. It does not boast. It looks like weary hands, like sore feet, like dust on your coat. But endurance is the quiet strength that outlasts all. Storms will come, drought, failure, betrayal, loss. They come to every man. You cannot escape them. But endurance is the law that carries you through. Without it, storms strip you bare. With it, storms sharpen you into steel. Most men quit in storms. They quit when progress slows, when the harvest delays, when the applause dies, when the night stretches long. They think the storm means they're cursed, when in truth, the storm was sent to test their endurance. And because they quit, they never see the dawn that always follows. But the man who endures, who holds steady when others run, who keeps plowing when others fold, who keeps riding when others turn back, that man sees what others never see. He sees the harvest on the far side of drought. He sees the river beyond the desert. He sees the dawn after the longest night. Endurance is not about strength. It is about decision. It is about saying, "I will not quit no matter what." The strongest may fall, the swiftest may stumble, but the man who refuses to quit cannot be beaten. For life cannot defeat a man who will not stop rising. Hear a cowboy truth out on the range. A rider who keeps turning his head every which way never reaches camp. He spooks his horse, wanders in circles, burns daylight. But the rider who fixes his eyes on the canyon ahead, steady and sure, makes it through. Focus wins the land. Distraction leaves you lost, and here at the steady through instead is reality. Thought commands action. Conviction bends the world. If a man thinks small, he becomes small. If a man believes in lack, he lives in lack. If a man believes in abundance, builds in abundance, speaks in abundance, in time, abundance finds him. Every great fortune started as faith. Carnegie believed steel could shape a nation while others mocked iron. Rockefeller believed oil could power industry while others called it muck. Edison believed light could fill the world while others cursed the dark. Ford believed common men could own cars while others laughed at the idea. Buffett believes in value where others see clutter, and so value flows to him. Faith is not fantasy. Faith is sight before sight. It is the eye that sees the oak inside the acorn, the tower inside the stone, the fortune inside the discipline. Without it, a man will not even take the first step. With it, a man can walk through storms no eye can see the end of. Hear a cowboy truth: when you drive cattle across a desert, you don't see water, but you ride in faith because you know the map, you trust the land, you believe the river lies ahead. The rider without faith dies in the dust. The rider with faith makes it through. Faith is the shield against fear, for fear and faith cannot live in the same heart. Fear says, "What if I fail?" Faith says, "What if I win?" Fear says, "There is no way." Faith says, "There must be a way." Fear stops, faith rides. And here at the law, faith must be spoken. Every word plants belief or doubt. That is why Solomon called speech sacred. Speak fear, reap fear. Speak poverty, reap poverty. Speak defeat, reap defeat. But speak faith, speak abundance, speak certainty, and in time, your spirit obeys, your mind obeys, your body obeys. The world bends to your faith, but faith alone is not enough. It must marry consistency. Too many men boast in faith for a day, then skip the work the next. Faith without obedience is dead. Faith with consistency is unstoppable. Most men live in doubt, which is why they live small. They believe riches belong to others, not them. They believe storms mean curses, not tests. They believe failure is the end, not the forge, and so they quit. Not because the law failed them, but because they lacked faith. Buffett once said the stock market transfers money from the impatient to the patient. But beneath that, it transfers wealth from the doubtful to the faithful. Doubt sells in panic. Faith holds through storms. Doubt skips. Faith endures. And in the end, faith inherits. Now hear a cowboy truth. Faith is not given. It is chosen. You must decide to believe. You must command your thought, command your tongue, command your heart. You must believe even when there is no proof. You must believe when mocked, when broke, when tired, when unseen. Faith is not the result of evidence. Faith is the cause of evidence. Think of the farmer. He buries seed in faith. The soil is dark, the seed unseen, the harvest far. But he trusts the law. He waters daily, labors daily, believing the unseen will one day be seen. That is faith, and because he believes, he acts. Because he acts, he reaps. So hear a cowboy law: faith first, sight later. Believe first, build first, obey first, then the harvest comes. Reverse it, and you'll never see the harvest. And when your trail is long, when storms surround, when fear whispers quit, faith will be your lantern. It will be the voice that says, keep riding. The river is ahead. The harvest is certain. The law cannot fail. Faith, endurance, consistency, sacrifice, they ride together. But faith leads. Without faith, you won't even start. Without faith, you won't persist. Without faith, you won't endure. With faith, all things become possible. And when your fire burns its last, when you close your eyes on the final horizon, your legacy will testify not just of what you built, but of what you believed. Your barns will say, he believed in abundance. Your herds will say, he believed in growth. Your children will say, he believed we were meant for more. That, partner, is the law of faith. Believe first, build daily, endure always, and the world itself will bow to your conviction.